This is Calm AF, a podcast for humans who are hard on themselves. A podcast for the overthinkers, people pleasers, perfectionists, and overachievers. I'm Kristen Finch, and I'm going to teach you how to quiet that incessant negative chatter in your head. Because you know what a person with a calm mind can do? Anything they want. Grab your coffee, gorgeous soul, because today's the day you get calm AF. All right, put on your glasses, grab your pocket protectors, and hike up those pants. Pull them all the way up to right under your neck, because we are getting nerdy today, gorgeous soul. If you aren't a Gen Xer, maybe you don't understand why I'm describing nerds this way. If you are a Gen Xer, maybe even an elder millennial, you know Revenge of the Nerds, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Today we're getting nerdy. Sometimes I think that people forget, or they just don't know, it doesn't matter, that the things that I share, the insights that I teach here on the podcast and that I coach my clients on, they aren't pulled from thin air or just these like feel-good theories. My journey into coaching was fueled by my deep understanding of how brains operate. I have a bachelor's degree. I have a master's degree in science, specifically around neuroscience. My background lies in rewiring faulty or damaged neural pathways. So I was a speech pathologist. That is my background. And my work revolved around helping brains. You know, sometimes these brains are damaged, injured, or just developmentally different. But I would help these brains with these faulty neural connections create new neural connections so that my patients could be more independent, so they could be able to function at their highest potential. So when I moved into coaching, it was natural because I was like, listen, if I know how to rewire neural pathways in injured brains, why not rewire neural pathways in non-injured brains, right? Just untangling connections that, even though they're not damaged, are still creating pain or creating undesired results for people. So that's what I do. That's where everything's coming from. So today, I want to talk specifically about procrastination, but I really want to dive into the neuroscience behind it to help you understand procrastination on a different level. Because how many times have you thought the thought, I know what to do, but I'm just not doing it? I have lost count of the people I've worked with who claim like, I could write my own self-help book. Kristen, I know what to do. Why am I not doing it? And this is a really common feeling, right? When we are looking at some deadlines that are looming, or a to-do list a mile long, or a big goal that you are really, really determined to achieve, some big dream that you want to manifest. And you are like, today's the day. I'm gonna start today. I'm gonna make it happen. But then all of a sudden, you find yourself again, like binge watching Netflix, or you're scrolling on your phone, or you're off to the kitchen trying to find something to eat, right? And again, the thought comes like, why am I just not doing it? Why am I not following through? Why, if I know what to do, why am I not doing it? So, like I said, we're going to look at it from a neuroscience perspective. Here is the good news, and I really want you to hear this. You don't procrastinate because you're lazy, because you're weak, or because you lack willpower. Please hear this, so that the next time you catch yourself procrastinating, you don't spiral off into shame. Here's the deal. Within your brain, there are a whole bunch of neurotransmitters. What is a neurotransmitter? It's like a chemical messenger that relays information all around your body, and it does it through neurons. Like there is a neurotransmitter called norepinephrine. When it's released, it signals an emergency. It increases your heart rate. It prompts all of the non-essential body systems to pause so that more oxygen flows to where it's needed for a quick escape. It does all the things we talk about when we talk about that fight or flight response. In general, our brains are wired to seek pleasure and avoid pain. This is a survival tactic. The issue, though, when it comes to procrastination, is that the pain we are avoiding often stems from things like fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of people's opinions, and self-doubt. The pain is from the thinking, what if I try and fail? What will people think of me? What will I think of myself? What if I can't meet my expectations? What if I can't meet someone else's expectations? Or why bother even starting when I usually just give up anyway? Or the pain of no one appreciates what I do anyway, or people criticize me when I try, so why even bother? Okay? This is why we are procrastinating, to avoid the things that might happen if those thoughts are true. The root of procrastination really is most of the time fear, which the brain interprets as pain, which it's wired to avoid. And guess who shows up when fear is present, right? When your body starts interpreting some sensation as fear, like there might be some danger, I already talked about it, norepinephrine shows up. It surges whenever you are stressed or anxious or worried. It's part of your body's fight-flight system, getting you ready to take action. The problem is that you aren't procrastinating things that are really like norepinephrine worthy, like your to-do list, a goal you're working on. You don't need your body to be in a state of emergency, in a state of high alert. You do not need, when you're thinking about your to-do list, you don't need blood and oxygen flowing away from your brain and down to your legs so you can run quickly. But that's what happens when norepinephrine shows up to the party. It's like danger, danger. Oh my God, she's trying to figure out how to start her new business. She's trying to figure out how to have a hard conversation, how to get through this never-ending to-do list. Like that's what norepinephrine is showing up for. So your brain looks for the easiest escape from the pain, right? Because it's wired to do that. It's wired to avoid the pain and seek the pleasure. And when we're in that seek the pleasure piece, hello, dopamine, another neurotransmitter shows up to the party. Because procrastination is actually the brain's attempt to seek pleasure by avoiding the pain. Brains love instant gratification. They love this immediate release of pain using tiny pleasures. So it uses things like scrolling through social media. It gives you a little dopamine hit. Binge watching Netflix, a little dopamine hit. Eating a bag of Reese's peanut butter cups. Is that just me? The dopamine hit, right? It's choosing these little tiny momentary, temporary pleasures over the long-term rewards that you really want, like putting in the effort towards a big goal or actually getting through a to-do list or finishing a project. The reason why your brain loves instant gratification is because it's an efficient machine. It's like, sure, yeah, if the goal is always avoid pain, seek pleasure, you could work hard on this goal. And yeah, maybe when you finish it, it'll feel really good. But hey, listen, you can also have some chocolate and feel great now. The brain isn't like interpreting things that you're doing as good or bad. It's just looking for something that's efficient and pleasurable. So it will choose the instant gratification over the long-term goals. And again, this isn't because you lack willpower. It's your neurotransmitters at play. It's dopamine responding to norepinephrine saying, hey, looks like you're stressing about that big goal. How about we do something fun again? And instead, how about we do something fun instead? And before you know it, again, reaching for the phone, heading to the pantry, seeking out that dopamine hit. Okay, do you understand this? Do you see this from a new perspective? It's just chemistry. Procrastination boils down to chemicals in your brain that are beyond your conscious control being released to escape pain and seek pleasure. So, if we want to overcome procrastination, but it's a chemical thing, then it's not about having more willpower or diligence. It's about learning how to collaborate with your chemical brain, not against it. So let's talk about how. The first and most important thing is basically everything I've already shared with you. Okay? It's the awareness of what's actually going on. You can't control your neurotransmitters. That is part of your autonomic nervous system. You are not able to shut those off or turn them on, but you can influence them over time and repetition. So when you find yourself in a procrastination loop, having this awareness and understanding that it's not a you problem, it's your brain, this will help you reduce the shame, reduce the frustration, and simply acknowledge that your neurotransmitters are doing their job. That alone is going to lessen that norepinephrine, right? It's going to lessen that hypervigilant nervous system response. And with this calm awareness comes genuine and lasting change. When you understand that procrastination isn't a character flaw, but it's your autonomic nervous system doing what it's supposed to do, then you can start taking ownership of it. Oh, this is what's happening. I know what is happening. It's a chemical reaction. And I know the things that trigger me. Things that feel uncertain, things that I'm afraid of failing at, things that I might make mistakes at, things that people might criticize me for. There's a predictability in recognizing what triggers your procrastination. So once you know that, you can prepare for it. And I want to offer you 2 really practical, easy ways to prepare for it, to start cooperating with your brain, with your neurotransmitters, instead of working against them, so that you can stop procrastinating. All right, the first thing is to break it down into yes. If you have been with me a long time, if you are an OG, you know you have heard this before. This was one of our 21-day rewire pieces, is to break it down to yes. Take whatever task, whatever project, whatever hard thing that you are procrastinating on, and you want to break it down into the smallest, tiniest, most manageable pieces. These pieces need to feel doable, like, yeah, I could totally do that. They need to feel safe, like, yeah, I can handle that. Okay? That is what it means, breaking it down to yes. It feels like a yes in your body. Let me give you an example. I had a cluttered house, but specifically a cluttered basement that overwhelmed me for years. My neurotransmitters were screaming at me to fix it, but it was all about like, do it all at once. Do it. Go down to that basement. Even though that clutter is stacked from floor to ceiling, you need to just go down there, spend a day, get it all done, then it'll be done. But the thought of doing that paralyzed me, absolutely paralyzed me. So it was the thoughts of the overwhelm that was making me procrastinate. My neurotransmitters I wasn't working with my neurotransmitters, right? So eventually I decided I need to break this down. Clearly, the thought of doing it all at once is overwhelming me. What could I do? If I allowed myself to let it take a little bit longer, what would be a doable and safe step? And so I decided I could spend 10 minutes a day. I actually started higher. I was like, could I do an hour? I'm like, yeah, but there's going to be days where I don't have an hour. There's going to be days when I try to have an hour, but I don't. But I can always find 10 minutes in my day. And so that is where I started, 10 minutes a day. And every single day, I set my phone timer for 10 minutes. I grabbed some garbage bags, I went to the basement, and I tackled a small section of the clutter 10 minutes at a time. And when the timer went off, I either brought the garbage bag to the garbage can or took them to the donation center. I started doing this every single day. And what I had been procrastinating for years took actually just a few months of 10-minute sessions. Okay? That's the first thing. You got to break it down to a doable, safe step. And then the second thing is time blocking. So once you have that small step that feels manageable, you have to put it in your calendar. You have to decide, what time am I going to do this? Not just like, oh, maybe I'll do it after this. I suggest the night before, this is when I'm going to do it, and this is how long I'm going to do it, and this is what I'm going to do. You just want to ensure that there is a small step, any small step, happening every day until you've completed the task, right? Don't just try to squeeze it in. You will find something more urgent to do instead. You have to time block it. And here's the thing about this. Here's why. It's so important to get it on your schedule and have it there every day. Because what did we talk about last week? This daily repetition, these daily reminders of who you're becoming, of what you're working towards. It not only soothes your nervous system and your neurotransmitters because you go into it knowing what to expect, but it's also reshaping the stories and the beliefs that you have about yourself that trigger those neurotransmitters, right? So I would put my daily basement decluttering sessions in my calendar, sometimes during preschool hours when the kids were there or after bedtime. And this consistency, this gradually showing up and making tiny steps every day, it changed my story from I never follow through to I do show up. I do follow through. I am actually pretty consistent-ish about showing up. It wasn't about perfection. It was about taking something that I have been procrastinating on, figuring out what is going on, what is triggering the neurotransmitters, what is the story that I have, and then breaking it down into tiny little tasks, making sure I am attending to it every single day. And that is how I changed that story about myself. That is how you can move through procrastination, by working with your chemicals instead of resisting them, instead of trying to do something that your brain is not wired to do, which is go 100% in, try and get things that overwhelm you done in the short amount of time. It's just going to keep ending in the same place. Like trying to go all in, do it all at once, and then come back into overwhelm and eventually procrastination. This is how we start breaking it. This is the science behind why you do it and using that same science to stop. All right, nerds. I love nerds. All right, go out, go live your life, go look at your procrastinating tasks and tackle them in this very science-backed way. You are not a procrastinator. You are a person with neurotransmitters that are doing their job. You don't lack willpower. You just need to align your efforts and work with your brain instead of fighting against it. You've got this. And if you are looking to change your patterns, change your habits, change your life, I have got you. I know how to rewire brains. This is what I do. I know how to rewire all brains, including yours. So check those show notes for a bunch of different ways we can work together. You can sign up for a call. We can have a chat about it. It'll be awesome. All right, gorgeous soul. I love you so much. I will see you next time. Thanks for listening. And before you go, one more thing. So as you know, I am slightly obsessed with helping as many humans tap into their calm AFness as possible. So if this podcast has helped you, would you please leave a review, make sure you're subscribed, and share it with your friends. Also, make sure you head on over to KristenFinch.com to see how you can work with me. You can sign up for my emails and get any other goodies I have available. Until next week, I love you so much. I am so grateful that you're here. I'll see you next time.